Robert,
Yo, what's shaking, AC?
not much. What's shaking with you?
Well, just rocking, rolling, whatnot. I think that's a quote from Danny Zuko in Greece.
Oh, well, there you go. That's what you're doing right now.
I love that movie. And the
Well,
sequel as well that had Michelle Pfeiffer in it. Pretty awesome. Pretty awesome.
are you gonna start singing and dancing right now?
You're the one that I want. You
Yeah.
are the one I want. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Oh my gosh,
Okay.
we'll have to edit that one out.
All right. All right.
Yeah.
Listen, okay, so
Yeah.
I use Asana within my franchise system. I love it, okay, for like
I know
managing
you're
tasks,
like an Asana nerd.
but I still like, things like stake and building things and
Right.
sports.
You're manly. You're like, I like Asana and I'm a tech nerd, but I'm also cool. Okay, gotcha.
Okay. Anyways, so we have Asana and we use it for like task management and project management and all that sort of stuff. But for a lot of people, using some sort of task management system is unusual to their daily life. A lot of people they use email pretty commonly. They may use their calendar pretty commonly. But as soon as you become an entrepreneur, you've got to have a task or project management system.
You
And
can't just use pen and paper.
no, you can't.
Okay.
Okay, so for franchisees or for entrepreneurs or anyone that's using this thing, how do you get over that hurdle to get it into your daily system or get them to adopt it or buy into it, because it's something out of the ordinary, whether it's a good idea or not, it does require a change. So like, what do you do? Like, how do you do that?
Oh, that's a doozy. That's a good question. Can't you just go and like smack them and say like, idiot, come on?
That's why I have so many lumps on the back of my head.
Okay, so we know that doesn't work.
Right.
Let's write that off as not an option. Cross it off. Okay, I'm kidding, of course. Well, I would love to think of this as like, really, again, you kind of said this. It's not just how do you get franchisees or team members to use Asana, but rather like in general, how do you get franchisees, I guess, to use any system that you have, right?
Right.
And that's just a common challenge because they're busy in their day-to-day lives and in their businesses, and they're like, they must not see the value in it, right? So they, you can go.
There's a carrot approach, there's a stick approach, there's put it into your processes and just say this is mandatory. Like, but like what do you do?
Even saying it's mandatory doesn't, like, that's kind of the stick approach, right?
Right.
I mean, it's all about buy-in, right? So what I would recommend you try, if you haven't tried this already, is I remember that when they hear things from you, their natural response a lot of the time is, well, it's easy for you to say that because, you guys, must be easier because you guys are a busy location and, you guys have more money, or they'll come up with some reason in their head why it's easier for you. So it's kind of like with my son when he first started getting heavy into running, and we're like, Brody, you got to drink a lot of water and you should probably be drinking some like electrolytes and stuff. And he's like, doesn't listen, right? Doesn't listen. Ends up eventually joining a running team. He's got this like ex-Olympic athlete as a coach, and the coach tells him, or one day I look over and he's at home and he's drinking water, and I'm like, oh, you're finally listening to us. He's like, well, Coach Bruce said I should drink more water. And I'm like, okay, so with your franchisees, I wonder if getting some of their peers to tell them that they're getting value from it. So are there franchisees in your system that you could that understand the value of, say, getting other franchisees following the system because they think more like you?
Yeah, I think so. And I think that's common in every franchise system, right? You've always got somebody who's totally bought in, somebody who may not be bought in, middle performers, what it is,
Yeah.
right? So
You, and yeah,
when you're saying that these franchisees who actually use these systems and are bought into it, I should get them to help encourage the other franchisees, right? Like in what format would that be? Would that be in like a webinar?
yeah. Webinar. We're over webinared, aren't we? In this time of not being able to be in person. Yeah, webinosis. My first reaction is to, if you've got one or two franchisees who, they're really loyal to you and your team and to the brand. And they just understand that if we all do things the same, it'll be valuable. Whoever that would be, is to talk to them and maybe have them, and again, making sure they see the value in this, otherwise it'll never work, like in getting everybody aligned. Maybe have them just reach out one-on-one, to their fellow franchisee and be like, hey, hey, John, I haven't chatted in a while. Just wondering how things are going. Are you up for getting on a call? And then they get on the call and then, hey, what's new? What are you up to? How, maybe things are really tough right now. And, that's going to be a bit of a tough conversation, but then to segue it into, hey, by the way, have you started using Asana yet? And then the franchisee says, no, I don't find it valuable. It's too tedious. I don't like it. And, oh, really? Well, I've discovered this one or two things that I really like about it. If you want, I can show you how I use it. That makes it really good for me or whatever. So, kind of segueing that in as opposed to like just trying to come in heavy. What do you think of that?
Yeah, you know what? It makes sense because we had previously in one of our rants talked about the concept of concentric growth, right? And sometimes franchisees maybe aren't happy with neighboring franchise locations opening up. But if you explain to them why that's beneficial for the entire system, and why that's beneficial for them, this is kind of that same thing, right? Like if everyone's using a task management software and we can all interact and share things there, or if you show them how it's fruitful for their growth and development, or the development of their business, and they're able to use that as like an example to show others and be like, look at how easy my day is. I'm not overwhelmed and swamped with stuff, and I'm not scatterbrained and filled with anxiety because this helps me through it.
Yeah, exactly. You got it. And so, it's that same concept. I think really having the franchisee that's the one, the messenger, have them understand that another tactic to get buy-in is to keep it simple. So, again, with Asana and that, like, I'll be the first to admit, like, with anything tech like that, I'm more of like, okay, start using just the basic function. A lot of people are probably like this, basic functions. Okay, now I'm ready to kind of go to the next level. Like, I'm not ready to go all in. So respecting that they might as well. So like maybe the franchisee that's delivering the message is like, here's one or two things, that I think are really helpful. And I, and again, like, seeing the value to the system, right? Like if they can make sure the franchisee the messenger knows how to communicate that.
So would you say that it's important for that messenger to be a high performer, or would it be important for that messenger to be part of the franchise advisory council, or maybe the opposite, somebody who's maybe not on the FAC that's a little bit more related?
Yeah. Sometimes they'll have more credibility if they're not on the FAC. Franchise Advisory Council. I think just looking for somebody who has influence and understands, like, is good with people, like maybe has some leadership skills or skills at influencing others, that they understand how to talk to others and some level of maturity in that. I think that would be what I'd recommend. I wouldn't also write off the idea of like a presentation where, this would be another way to do it, is to have that one or two franchisees do a group Zoom call and go, hey guys, and actually, I was one of our clients that I work with. I was facilitating a monthly interactive success workshop for the franchisees. And it was starting to kind of like, it was hard to get people out. We were getting people out, but it was like the same people all the time, of course. And so we changed it and we said, let's get the franchisees presenting. So it's kind of like in my franchisor roundtables, getting the peers to share with each other. So if you could get, whether it's one franchisee showing Asana, maybe you do a monthly Zoom call facilitated by franchisees, where one franchisee shares something they're doing in their business that's making their life easier, or that's helping them get more customers or whatever. So, as much as possible, if we can make these things be driven by the franchisees and create a culture of peer support, it's going to take the pressure off of you for so much.
Yeah, you've had a lot of success with that peer support stuff, with the roundtables and your Play Bigger performance groups, which is fantastic. But listen, I got less than a minute until the Raptors game starts, so I feel like I need to let you go.
Okay, are we doing Go Raps or Go Be Awesome?
Let's do Go Be Awesome.
Okay,
the Raps are doing so well, and I don't want to change anything that might change.
Okay, yeah. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Go be awesome.